Hiya, welcome back to my channel. Oh, okay, getting glare. Take the glasses off. Is that better? Hi, welcome back. Okay, so the premise of today's video, top 5 tips from moi to all of you guys that are Microloc newbies. Because, do you know, okay, disclaimer, it really gets on my nerves when YouTubers go, oh my god, hundreds of you ask me every single day and this is so highly requested, because I find it a bit disingenuous. But in all honesty, I get this from you guys that have found me here on YouTube, follow me on Instagram, and then you DM me and I get the same questions over and over and over and over, or the same request for advice over and over. So I'm gonna put this together so you guys have this information, because I'm guessing all of you guys that come and find me on Instagram have seen these videos. So I'm putting this video together for you guys, all of you Microloc newbies, and hopefully this should give you a good basis so that it doesn't look like I'm ignoring you when I get loads of these questions on Instagram. Okay? I got my phone because I made a tally of all the questions I get and which ones are most popular. So, and I used it, sorry, it's not the questions I'm going to give you guys. It's putting all of those questions together and giving you the top 5 advice on the basis of the question. Do you know what? Let's just get to let's get to the tips. Tip number 1, wash your hair gently. Again, a lot of people asking me about the fact that their hair is unraveling. I've been locked for a month, I've been locked for 3 months, I've been locked for 6 months, and most of them are people that don't have sister locks, because usually if you've got sister locks you end up going to your sister lock consultant for, you know, any problems. But most of you have DIY'd your Microlocs like I did, and then you're having problems and you don't know who to go to. So to start with, a lot of the time when you've got this unraveling issue, your hair is getting washed too aggressively. I am never going to be there to say don't wash your hair in the beginning. I did. I think you should too. That's nasty if you don't. What I will say is wash your hair gently. 2 ways. Number 1, if you can be really, really gentle, no, I ain't going to trust you lot with that. No, I've done that mistake. Forget that. I would advise you to do what I did. Band and braid your hair. Now, it's a thing that sister lock wearers have as advice from their sister lock consultant. What it means is you take your hair in sections. So usually if your hair is quite short when you started, you're going to divide your hair down the middle and either to 2, so 2, 2, 4 or 6, 3 on each side. And you're going to loosely braid your hair and then band it with like a rubber band or those small little tiny baby scrunchies that you can find on the ends. That allows you to still wash the length and get soap in there, and it allows you to get to your scalp, but you're not aggressively washing your hair where you could potentially unravel what has been done. So that's one way of doing it. If you're not a fan of band and braiding your hair, then the other thing you can do is get yourself a weave cap, stick it on, and then wash your hair like that. To be able to do that, and so you don't get loads of shampoo stuck in your hair with either method, buy a little, I'm never going to say buy, because if you're loose natural going to Microlocs, I can guarantee you have got a bottle with a small end that you use to grease your scalp with oil. So take that bottle, fill it with shampoo, about 20%, fill the rest, other 80% with water, and use that to squeeze on your scalp so that you're still going to get a good wash, but you're not going to have to spend as much time trying to scrub the shampoo and get the soap out of your hair because you're using a more diluted concentration, a lower concentration of shampoo. So do that with either method that I'm suggesting to wash your hair. That way you're going to minimize the risk of unraveling the ends or having slippage from the roots, because in the beginning, the first 6 months to a year, especially the first 6 months, your biggest risk to having a bad Microloc journey is slippage and unraveling. That's a huge way you can avoid that. Gentle washing. Tip number 2, frequent maintenance. Now y'all hear me all the time talking about the fact I am retightening my hair for 3, 4, 5 months. Don't do what I do. I am 5 years in the game. My hair to an extent can take it, and if it can't, I know how to fix it. But in the beginning, I would not suggest this at all. In fact, in the beginning, I was retightening happy. I was doing it every 3 to 4 weeks. I would not suggest every 3 weeks. I would suggest every 4 to 6 weeks, but stay on top of that routine. Number 1, it doesn't take long, because every 4 to 6 weeks you're only going to get what, at the most, half an inch of growth. It's not going to be a lot, so it's going to be quick to do. But number 2, any slippage is what comes from the roots, unraveling is what comes from the ends. Any slippage that you get can get caught up quickly, and you're less likely to have the issue of stray hairs growing into each other's locks and having to pull them apart. Now, for some people, their hair grows with the lock, and so you're still gonna have distinct parts, but it's not as likely when you have micro locks. That tends to be a thing. If you've got traditional locks and your hair grows with the lock, then you're fine. And you'll see that a lot with people that are freeform, but their hair is in still quite distinctive parts. If you're not so lucky and your hair grows away from the lock, you have a lot more stray hairs. And the longer time that you leave between retightenings, the more those stray hairs intertwine with stray hairs from other locks, and then you get a lot of matting. And if your grid pattern is, you know, really important to you, for me, not really bothered, but if it's really important to you, you don't want that to happen. Either way, you don't want to have to be popping hairs between locks, because that's going to weaken the lock and you're going to lose the integrity in the, you know, in the thickness. Even though they're small, you still need to have strength in there. So keep your retightenings frequent. Maintain your hair frequently. Maximum 6 weeks, minimum I'd say 4 weeks. Tip number 3. All of you lock newbies coming from loose natural hair, whether you did a big chop and you waited 6 months, or your hair was like, you know, down your back like mine was, get rid of your product. I know some of you guys out there are product junkies, and it's really, really hard. I've been there, to go from being product junkie, or even if you're not a product junkie, just having products that you love, you trust, and enjoying the process of looking after your hair and treating your hair. You wash, you condition, you do. Stop it, stop it, stop it. With locks, you don't need all of this mumbo. You don't need it. You do not need it. For me, I have a very, 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 very pared back maintenance when it comes to products with my hair. That is because primarily I have seborrheic dermatitis. Number 2, I also can't be bothered. Even so, especially for you guys, Microloc newbies, you guys are the ones that I'm making this video for. You do not need to be putting a ton of products in your hair. All it's going to do is cause unraveling and slippage. And like I said, that is the greatest detriment to your lock journey at the beginning, is slippage and unraveling. Now, when you put products in your hair as a loose natural, primarily you're doing it to soften the hair. There are sometimes you also put protein treatments in, but primarily the goal is hydration, moisture retention in your hair. Now, these are not necessarily bad things for locks, but what you tend to get is the ingredients in products that are like leave-in conditioners, things that you use for, like, you know, ironically, the lock method, where you're like liquid oil cream to seal and moisturize and seal your hair. All of these things are going to soften your hair. Softening is kind of the opposite of what you want your hair to do. When your hair is soft, it's like, it's got no tangles. It's really easy to run your fingers through. It's not going to twist up on itself. That's the opposite of what you want to happen with locks. With locks, you need the texture. You need the roughness, so to speak. You want your hair to intertwine and lock and tangle amongst itself, which is not going to happen, or it's going to happen to a much slower extent if your hair is kept soft by the use of excess products. The other reason you don't want to be using loads of products is because of build-up. Now, no matter how much you clean, scrub, wash your hair, no matter what you do, there is going to be, if you were to cut your lock open, there's going to be a teeny tiny, it's almost like when you cook pasta and you want it al dente, and you bite the pasta and you look at the spaghetti and there's a tiny dot in the middle where it's a little bit white, whereas everything else outside is almost like a gelled yellow color. That is what the inside of your hair is going to look like. No matter how you wash it, no matter what you do, you're going to have a tiny bit of build-up right dead in the center of your lock, and you want to keep that tiny amount of build-up dead center in the lock to the barest minimum possible by your power, right? Adding products is just going to make that amount of build up in the center spread to the outside, because you can't wash your hair as thoroughly as a loose natural can. You can't get all the way in there, because the nature of a lock is matted, tangled hair. So what you need to do is prevention is better than cure. Minimize the amount of stuff that can end up becoming that tiny little al dente bit in the middle of your lock pasta, your pasta lock, from developing. No products. They don't help you with your locking process, and they're just going to cause you build up and lint in the future. Drop them. What you need is water. You need something like, you need a humectant to aid in keeping that water in your hair, so like glycerin, rose water, that kind of thing. And then what you need is some oil to seal it in. I would say oils rather than butters or pomades, because again, oils are something that once you've added soap to it can be washed away. In addition to this, the lighter the oil, the better. So things like fractionated coconut oil, grapeseed oil will also be easier to wash away. Butters and pomades are a lot harder to get to wash away with the shampoo. Obviously, you're going to wash your hair really well, not in the beginning, not newbies, but you're going to wash your hair well, but it's going to be harder to do so if your hair is banded and braided or you're using the wig cap to wash your hair. So minimizing the amount of products you use, especially butters and pomades, is going to be good for you in the long run. Tip number 4, gentle styling. Now, one of the most fun things I had when I was a new, I had my Microlocs in the beginning, newbie to the Microloc journey, was styling my hair. I realized though some styles were worse than others. So I tried to keep to styles that I could keep in for a long time and not have to redo them every day. So my favorite things were curling my hair, and the second favorite thing was putting my hair in updos. Now, if you're going to put your hair in an updo, you want it to be in an updo for at least a week. You don't want to be putting in an updo and taking it down tomorrow and putting it up, because all the things you're trying to avoid are slippage and unraveling. So keeping it up in an updo that's going to stay up for a week or more, that's fine, because you're not going to be fiddling with it, hence no danger of unraveling. If your hair is curled, you're usually going to leave those curls in for a couple of weeks, and you put your hair bonnet on, but you're wearing it curled, whether it's down or like maybe in a bun where the curls are on top. But what you want to do is gentle styling, things that are going to avoid you having to manipulate your hair. In that sense, think of it the way you did when you were loose natural. Less maintenance, less breakage. When it comes to locks, less less manipulation, less unraveling and slippage. Gentle styling, or low manipulation styling, for want of a better phrase. Last but not least, as a newbie Microloc or a Microloc newbie, you always want to cover your hair. And it's not just a case of cover your hair when you go to bed with satin or silk bonnet or scarf or using a satin or silk pillow. But when I say cover your hair, I'm talking in general about be more aware of what is rubbing on your hair. When you become locked, you're not as aware of the amount of crap that gets stuck in this nape area. Because when you were a loose natural, jumpers, all that kind of thing, lint would get there, but you're going to just wash it out again. It didn't bother you. You don't have that benefit of just being able to wash out the lint when you're locked. So you have to become a whole lot more aware of everything that is in this perimeter. If you love wearing hats in the winter, line them with satin. It's real easy to get some satin, a square meter of satin on eBay, maybe buy 2 or 3, sew them into each hat. Or if you want, you wear your bonnet and you put your hat on top. Anything you can do to protect it. Now, when I say sew in the satin, what you're going to have to make the effort to do is when you have your hat, the rim of the hat that is going to touch the nape of your neck, let the satin come over a little bit. Not just bring it up to there, because you're still going to have the edge of the hat being a problem. So bring the satin over a little bit and just keep that to the back of your hair. If you want, make it, a sensible thing to do is if it's a black hat, make the satin black. If it's a blue hat, make the satin blue, so it's not too obvious. But all you're trying to do is to protect that nape area, which is the most prone to getting lint and build up in the back of your neck area. The same with jumpers. Be wary of like turtlenecks, polo necks, whatever you call them, coming up high and rubbing loads of lint. The same with towels. When you have a shower, and you wash your hair, wash your locks, be aware of the colour of the towel that you're using to dry your locks. My tendency now is I just get a pair of black leggings or a black t-shirt is most likely what I'm going to use. If it's going to be a towel, it's either going to be my dark grey towel or my dark brown towel, because it's less likely to be putting light coloured lint in my hair. Don't go use a white microfiber towel. I did that loads in the beginning, was none the wiser. Use dark coloured items, whether they're towels. I find t-shirts and leggings easier. I think it's because they're just cotton. They soak up the water better. Be very aware of what you're using to cover your hair. When you're showering, when you're wearing winter clothes, even when you're wearing regular clothes, any kind of feathers, anything. In the beginning, you'll be a bit paranoid. Even when you sit on a sofa, you'll be like, oh, is it going to get in my hair? But to prevent the lint and build up in the nape area, that is what you're going to have to do, because there are so many people that start their Microloc journey or start their lock journey in general, get so much build up because they weren't aware of how much stuff is coming into contact at the back, and then they end their lock journey just point blank by shaving it off because it's so horrible. And at that point, when you realize it, you can't get it out, because when people tend to notice it is when they've got a bit of length. So it's not like they've noticed it when it's up here, they've noticed it when it's grown out and they can see it down here, and by then you've already got some down here and you've got some all the way up here, and they're like, there's no way to get it out, I need to cut it off. So avoid that by covering your hair and being aware what is touching the nape of your neck and what's affecting the locks down there. That is primarily number one, the only reason, well, okay, yeah, it is the reason why I got an undercut. I liked the idea of an undercut, but what pushed me to it is having all that lint there and not being able to get rid of it. So definitely, that's probably one of the most important, is to cover your hair and be aware of what is touching the nape of your neck. Okay, I hope those tips were useful. If you have any more questions that are not covered by these top 5 tips, please be sure to put them in the comments. Jesus, my English is gone. Put them in the comments below. You can hit me up on Instagram. You can hit me up on Twitter. Like the video, give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.